Are you ready for the solar eclipse in Libra happening on October 2nd? Are you ready for relationship changes to occur? Are you ready for the newfound tinglings of what you have to offer to be in their perfect place at the perfect time in the perfect way? Well, that is the invitation for these next 2 days. Let's talk about the astrology of October 2nd and 3rd of this year, beginning on October 2nd with the solar eclipse happening at 10 degrees of Libra. You want to look in your chart for 10 degrees of Libra and where that falls in your chart in order to understand the life area of where this eclipse falls for you and how you will specifically be impacted by this eclipse. This represents renewal in our relationships. Eclipses can bring about unpredictability and fated events. That's also something important. Divine intelligence is also a key thing here. This is good for staying indoors and going into reflection at this time, really sitting and contemplating on the intentions that you want to set and on your hopes for the future. The sun will have a ring around it at this time, a ring of fire symbolizing light. Even in the darkest times, there is still light. Eclipses are based on the sun and moon conjunct or either opposing the lunar nodes of the moon, which are the south node and north node. The South Node is very much about familiar habit patterns and traditional ways of being and, ways of living life and certain talents and certain gifts that you have from the past that you're super good at. And the North Node represents, where you're going, your destiny, your path of evolution. That's, a lot of what it tends to represent. This is about coming back into alignment with your higher power before moving forward. Transformations in how we connect to others and how we balance and harmonize our individual experiences are certainly on their way. It's important to let go of relationships that don't work for us. Any unhealthy relationship that doesn't serve us for our highest good, we must release those relationships this time. We need to evaluate what relationships prevent your soul from its necessary growth. What relationships keep you small, stagnant, and in the weeds, and not able to get out of the weeds and look up to the sky and grow in an emotional way? We need to evaluate these precious things before we decide to move on with our individual experiences. We can look back to last year's eclipse in Libra on October 14th to look at the intentions that we set about relationships back then. We're setting new intentions right now. This eclipse is a wonderful time to set powerful seeds of intention for not only the next 6 months, but maybe for a good portion of your life. What we need to change about ourselves to form the relationships that we want to have is important. In order to have the relationships that we want, we have to change certain things about ourselves and how we're living our lives and how we feel about ourselves, how we treat ourselves. And those kinds of things like that are important to consider and address at this particular time. This eclipse is conjunct the south node of the moon, so it can bring about past events and karma. It can bring about familiar habits and gifts that come naturally to us. The South Node also represents stagnation. It represents us staying in our comfort zones and not willing to get out of those comfort zones and expand into a greater level of awareness and evolution. It represents that we are, in our nest and we're refusing to get out of our nest and we're refusing to grow because we're too scared to dip our feet in the water and go across the ocean. But we want to stay in our safe place, in our small place, in the familiar. And that's natural for us to want change, but not want to go through the actual process of the change and not embodying the actual change in itself. There has to be here a purge of the old to make space for the new. The old has to die away, has to go away to make space for new energy to come in, for new things in your life to come in. What do you have to change within yourself in order to create change in your life? That's important to consider also. This is about shifting old habit patterns of relating, if there is any unhealthy relationships or, especially codependent relationships. If there are those kind of relationships, we need to shift these relationships around. We need to let these relationships go. We need to put a change marker into them. We can also explore our relationships with not only other people in our own individual lives, but also ourselves, evaluating and changing for the better our relationships with ourselves and self-improvement is key and critical. What do we need to do in our lives that can create a better sense of balance and fairness for us as individuals and for the collective? The moon will oppose the north node in Aries, so when the moon is opposite the north node, relationships are key to your evolution here. But you may fall prey to projecting your fears and insecurities onto other people. That may be a huge aspect with this. It's important to take the burdens off your shoulders at this time. It's good to have a clear sense of who your allies, who your friends are, and relate to them. Be careful that you're not projecting onto others at this time. It's important to balance your deep outer comfort zone, your deep sense of, what you need emotionally to feel safe and feel secure with your need for growth and evolution. It's important at this time to navigate through any challenges through spiritual practices. Whatever the spiritual practice is, now's the time to put that into practice. If it's impurified or tainted, that was in the past. You can decide now in the present moment to move forward and start again with spiritual practices and be present to do those spiritual practices. There may be conflicts with others in your life that might, who those people might not understand your sensitivity. Self-compassion is super important for us to develop at this particular time. We want support from others who may seem slippery and who may feel like we want to be in solitude at this time. We want to be alone at this particular time. It's important to seek support at this time to navigate your emotional landscapes. That's super important. And find ways to ground yourself. Whatever those things might be, it's best to do those things at this time. It's important to be less reactive and more adaptable to the changes that come to you. It's important also to create a greater sense of connection and trust in your individual relationships. Creating this deeper bond with the person that you're relating to is a key theme here on this eclipse. The sun will also conjunct the moon. So when the sun is conjunct the moon, we're more aligned with our home and family life. We can make positive shifts and changes to this area of our lives. Feelings, emotions, and close relationships with women become a major focus for us. We feel emotionally content and emotionally balanced this time as well. We need to also integrate our emotions and our feelings, whatever we haven't accepted or integrated. Now's the time to integrate those things. We need to be more open and emotionally honest in our communications and our interactions with other people in our own individual lives. That becomes important here. And we need to create a harmonious environment that supports our growth as a soul living a human experience that's temporary. The sun and moon will also be exactly conjunct black moon Lilith, which brings us into the shadows. So let's talk about the sun conjunct Lilith and what this is actually about. This can create charisma and creativity. You're expressing your independence at this time. You're going after what you desire, what you want in your life. You're stepping also into the position of leadership. Being a leader in your life is super important. You may have a desire for recognition and freedom. Um, that may be super important here. You know, you're maybe more drawn to the arts. Maybe you're rebelling against anyone who tries to limit you expressing your individuality. That may be something key here. Following your intuition becomes a super important thing to do. Empowering others is another great thing to do. You might feel like rebelling against the status quo at this time of your life, of authority figures, of, whatever it is. You may feel this sense of, I have to rebel. I have to break free. I have to do my own thing. I have to be an individual. I have to be a unique sovereign being in my own life. There may also be pride of your personality's creative and often destructive aspects. So you may feel like embracing these parts of yourself at this time. Your unique style and flamboyant poignancy comes through at this time. Whatever that might be for you. You may cut ties from those who are critical and demanding of you because you don't want to engage with them. They limit you, they restrict you, so you may cut ties with them, being more free and sovereign being. And raw emotions and sexuality attract power and statue to you. The moon will also conjunct Lilith. So deep desires and subconscious dreams, you're likely to act on impulse on these things. You may erupt and react emotionally to things that you can't possibly explain intellectually. You may just react to something without thinking about it first. You're feeling intensely emotional at this time. Your inhibitions are gone. They're completely washed out of the system, washed out of the real works and drill works. Your intuition is gone. Your freedom is on high gear at this time, and you will just be emotionally open and emotionally free, and you will express yourself no matter who tries to cage you in. You may deeply desire love and support from other people. That's another key thing here at this time. You may rebel against overly protective or smothering individuals. There may be a heightened sense of emotions, intuition, and creativity that you may find at this time. Um, you're also feeling more likely to take a risk with whatever you want to take a risk on at this time. It's important to be receptive and available to anyone in your life. It's important to release any emotional burden that has weighed you down. It's also important to form deeper connections with others, and you have a newfound confidence at this time. It's good to confront the emotions that have kept you hidden and kept you stuck and stagnant at this time also. So I did pull oracle cards for September, for October 2nd and 3rd from the Astro Guides Oracle by Sonia Choquette, a 56 card deck and guidebook. And the first card I pulled for October 2nd, about what does the collective need to know on this particular day, is the card Deceit. And this is a message from the guardian angel, Deceit. So people may appear different than they actually are. You may be deceived in some way or another by a person, place, or circumstance. You may find the truth of who people are. It's important to find out who they really are, what their motives are, what their intentions are. What are they really about? What are they really after? Why are they doing what they're doing? It's important to dig deep for mysteries to uncover them, to uncover the mysteries. Um, And so people may be locked away, but you're able to open the doorway to them and connect with them on a deeper level and find out what their true motives are in your life. And so you're more likely to get deceived at this time, so be mindful that be on high alert and find the truth of who people are in your life and don't be deceived. Your relationships may appear to be going well on the surface, but not in actuality. It's good to get to the root of situations in relationship and find what is truly going on and fixing those issues. Are you lying to yourself? Are you deceiving yourself? Um, of a certain quality of a certain thing that you know that you have to get done, but you don't want to. Whatever you're lying to yourself about. And what about yourself are you not integrating? Are you not accepting about yourself? Um, and so it's important to face the truth of your feelings at this time, to go there, to move through those feelings, to admit the truth of what you need to admit to with love and bravery at the same time. And it's also important to be prepared to face the truth. Now, moving on to the astrology of October 3rd, the very first aspect that we have going on is the moon square to Mars. This moon square Mars energy can make us feel hot-tempered. We can feel like we need to act on impulse at this time. We also may be feeling more annoyed and irritable at this particular time. Um, we need to release our feelings in a more controlled fashion. Whatever that may be for you. Boxing, walking, running, skipping, tree climbing, grass painting, whatever is, us, expressing our feelings in a controlled, stable way. We may feel emotionally uncomfortable at this time. Violence, cuts, or accidents can come about when it comes to your relationships, or maybe a violent argument that may come to be happening. Cuts, wounds, accidents, all those kinds of things may come about because Mars rules knives. And there may be irritability, which may cause friction in your relationships. There may be friction, there may be difficulty within your relationships. It is super duper important at this time to slow down, to surrender everything that has happened in your life, no matter how insecure you feel about it. Take a deep breath, calm yourself, ground yourself, and get to the root of your feelings. Why are you feeling the way that you're feeling? What is causing you to want to act in certain ways? Getting to the root of your feelings is super important. You may feel more accident prone at this time. It's important to do things that calm you. It's important to prioritize honest emotional conversations and to communicate what you're feeling honestly with another and be receptive to what they're feeling also. So it's a give and take energy. It's important to do physical things or anything that releases the strong, irritable, hot energy that you may be feeling at this time. The other aspect going on at this time is that the moon will trine Jupiter in Gemini. So the moon's in Libra, Jupiter's in Gemini. This brings about emotional growth. This is good for any creative or recreational leisure activity. You may also feel more intuitive and creative. This is good for any spiritual practices. You may receive and want and desire a lot of emotional comfort and support from friends and family that you may get at this time. So be open to whatever signs or symbols or omens or support that your friends and family are giving you. This can also present successful business partnerships and personal groupings can thrive under this influence. Um, Enlisting the help of famous or generous people may also go well at this time, and women will strongly influence your life in more ways than one, I'm sure. The second card that I pulled, this card is for October 3rd, is the card Rest. This is the message from The healer guides. Rest. So this is not about doing, doing, doing. This is not about pushing forward and continuing to produce, 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 and work your mind and body. Your mind and body right now are tired. They're worn out. And they require that you relax. They require that you take a break, that you rest, that you allow yourself time to refuel your energy, replenish your energy. That's super important. So whatever you can do to relax. Is it listening to calming music? Is it breath work? Is it lamp turning on? Is it painting? Is it putting away the dishes? Is it cooking? Whatever allows you to rest and, whatever is relaxing for you, it's important to do those things at this time. It's important to reflect and be in all that you have done. Take time out for yourself in the lavish palaces of your life. It's a good time for chilling out also. It's important to be receptive to other people who want to help you and provide for you, and not always have to provide for yourself and hustle and constantly do. But it's important to allow others to give back to you. This is a very feminine, receptive card. And so trust that spirit will always be rightly generous to you, will always provide you all that you need and want at the current portion of time. And so, this is about meditation, contemplation. Um, and so that's what this is about. It's about resting up. This is what the card is all about. Thank you for tuning in. Bye for now.